Hi everyone, good evening. My name's Dave and Ed. We both work at Adaptive. Adaptive is a software consultancy set up in 2012. We specialise in applications for banks, commodity houses, and exchanges. Having worked in UX for the past several years, the landscape's kind of changed quite considerably, not only in the software that we use, but the way we interact with the developers. Kind of gone are the days where we'd fire over a PDF and just say work it out. Kind of, you know, we're using a lot more kind of web, cloud-based technologies that just help that communication so much more. So today's kind of just a little window into our current process. And firstly, Ed's going to talk around some of the design structures and how we go about creating a new project. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the prototypes that we use and how we communicate those designs to the developers themselves. So, yeah.
Cool. Okay, so this is a typical UX process where you've got discovery, design, and delivery. The bit, as Dave said, we're going to focus on is the design bit in the bottom right-hand corner and how we set up and structure this so it's flexible, it's scalable, and it helps feed this sort of delivery beast in the bottom left-hand corner. So one of the tools we use quite a lot is Sketch, and it's a design-based tool. It's originally created for mobile design, but it's been used everywhere. And this is potentially the start of what a UI kit might look like. So you can see here we've got some brand colours, and they'll vary on how many there are depending on which client we've got. We've got some supporting accent colours and gradients, and then we've got something different, which is functional colours. These are very separate to the brand. They're more to do with actually showing you things are happening, you know, price increases, price decreases, etc. One thing you'll notice, and I'm not sure you can see very well on this slide, is that we don't reference the colour name in any of the naming of this. And this is deliberate. And the idea is that this gets mapped with the developer, so they also we use the same variable name, and then we have hex values which are associated with it. So throughout the code, there is never a hex value that's named, which means if, as often happens, brand come back and they've done a big workshop and they've decided that that blue needs to be tweaked slightly, you change it in one place and it ripples through the whole system. So we set our design system up in the same way. So these are all named and added to Sketch. We also do the same for fonts, all the fonts we're using and all the font sizes, which means we're always using the right hierarchy of fonts and not having many different sizes. So the next step is essentially to create a component library. So this is something that some of you may or may not be familiar with, but essentially we're following an atomic design pattern. An atomic design pattern basically looks at creating a kit which has got all the lowest possible controls you're going to use. We've got avatars, we've got drop-downs, we've got buttons, all the standard controls that you're going to use in every UI you build. The difference here is all of these colours that are referenced here are linked directly to that file we previously named. So if I make a change in the design file, the other colour file, it will ripple through and update all of these components. So we're not having to manually manage and deal with all these atom-level components. What we then build on top of that is essentially a collection of these atoms and form something more useful. So in the example up here on the top right, we've got a user profile. It's a combination of an avatar, a status, and potentially an input field. And those collectively are also saved as symbols that can be reused, pulled in by other designers. So if we make a change to one of these avatars or some of the font styles or colours, that also then ripples through to the molecules. And we can obviously create custom ones. So the bottom right here, we've got data tiles. We can then go another level, if we really want to, and create sort of more detailed collections of components, which all, again, ripple down and referenced by molecules, atoms, and colours. So what we've created here is a kind of UI kit system. So you make a change at the lowest level, and it ripples all the way through to the highest level. What do we do with this? Well, the next step is essentially you've got a whole collection of UX designers. They're all potentially working on different areas. You get them all to link into this UI kit library. And this isn't just tell them where it is in a folder. This is actually linking to it. So if somebody makes a change, it tells everybody there's been an update. Do you want to take it? Yes, no, and you can see the differences. We then publish this UI kit into a cloud-based software called Zeppelin. Zeppelin essentially is a design interrogation tool. And when we've published it here, we can then share it with a whole number of people. So you can give client access, but more importantly, you can give front-end UI devs access. So by doing that, they've all got visibility of all the design assets, all the colours, all the components we're suggesting we use, and all the names that we're going to use. So there's sort of early visibility of how we're going to structure this whole kit. So I don't know if any of you have seen Zeppelin, but this is what it looks like. So you can see here I've published a document, the core branding. You can see it's exactly the same as the previous design file I've shown. That's because it is the same file that is published. So I'm not creating a new PDF, I'm not creating a new document. I'm literally doing 3 clicks and then all of my resources are published into this zone. And from here, you can, as a developer or designer, whoever's got access, you can interrogate all of these areas. So you can select a particular element. It tells you how far it is from a certain, along the X and Y axis, what colours are being used. And you'll see here the name it tells you is a functional negative move, which is one that we defined early on. So as a developer, you can very quickly come in, have a look, and see if we've used a rogue colour because it won't be named. The way you structure this can also be controlled by you. So here we've structured a whole section called IOIs. And it's got flows in it, it's got mock-ups, it's got designs. So all of our documentation now sits in the cloud for developers to see. So there's no more hunting for PDFs. You know, which version am I looking at? Is it version 7.7.2, final? It's actually all sitting in this cloud-based software. So we've got a shared UI kit, and we've got shared documentation. So all designers, UX designers, link to this kit. They all reference the kit, so the consistency it's very hard to be inconsistent because you're using the same components. All of the designers then publish their documents into Zeppelin, and then you benefit from all the access that previously said. So all of the clients, the front-end developers can get access to it. You can publish it to Zeppelin, and you can publish it to Jira if you want to, or attach it to Jira. So the benefit of this is we've got this sort of nested and linked set of design tools that you make one change one place, everyone's made aware of it, and all components get updated. That's not the end of the design piece, and I'll pass to Dave, and he'll tell you about the next step.
Yeah, so again, those very same files that we've used to publish to Zeppelin, we can then import into some of the prototyping tools that we use. I think what's changed the most for me is that a lot of these design packages all talk to each other. That very same file we can just import to Principle. Just go back. So Principle, we can create micro interactions, rollovers, state changes, price changes. We can also create click-throughs, you know, filling out an order ticket, simulate that kind of style. And then we can almost build click-throughs within click-throughs and kind of get to a full kind of clickable prototype quite quickly. And also within that package, by clicking a simple little button, we can record that little interaction and again, publish it on Jira or post it to a developer on Slack, and it's really just a good way of communicating our vision without, you know, a document. So I'll skip into a prototype that we built. I mean, we built this yesterday, literally within a couple of hours. You can see that straight away we've got some rollovers, we've got some state changes. We can create simple transitions and click-throughs. We can also, you know, almost simulate the app, as I said, create draggable areas. And I think kind of the benefit of this is obviously designer and developer is that being a designer, I can almost test the real thing. I don't have to go into a big build process and wait till the end and then see that that state's not quite right, or, you know, so I think I'm just building a bit more of a durable asset that's passed on and it doesn't kind of break further down the line. And again, showing this to stakeholders for buy-in is a lot easier than, again, having to build the whole thing. Again, very quick and very realistic, I think, is the main thing here. So I think some of the key takeaways is that, you know, a well-structured design system helps you to maintain and scale consistent patterns throughout the project team. Just knowing that when you publish that it's the same thing that everybody gets. There's not, as Ed said earlier, not a PDF hidden away in a dark place somewhere that you've got to dig out. And again, designs don't have to stop at the visuals anymore. You know, receiving a PDF and working it out, and you know that having that video or something you can actually use and click with is just been super beneficial to our software development. And then obviously synchronizing our design and development in the same structure just saves time and money. And then finally, a final point is that just creating enough design, again, saying that because we've tested it so much at the design phase, it just breaks a lot kind of less further down the line. I mean, it's not perfect every time, but you know, it's just been a lot more well thought out. So I hope you found that useful, and come grab us if you want to chat over any of the points at the end outside. Thanks a lot, appreciate it.